The study of genetics and evolution of animals draw its foundation from the chromosomal theory of inheritance. Gregor Mendel, who is in the picture, discovered the fundamental law of inheritance through his works on pea plants. In the 19th century, he famously crossbred pea plants to show how traits such as height, flower color, seed color, and shape could be determined by parentage. He found that he found out that two parents with one trait could produce offspring that exhibited another. He also observed that genes come in pairs, are passed in on distinct units, one coming from each parent. With this, Mendel came up with different laws of heredity. The first law is the law of segregation. During gamete formation, the alleles for each gene segregate from each other so that each gene carries only one allele for each gene. When we say gamete, these are your reproductive cells. So you have sperm and egg cell. So you have an allele which will be segregated and become part of a sperm cell and an egg cell. So alleles are variant forms of a genes. Some genes have a variety of different forms, which are located at the same position on a chromosome. As you will see here in the slide, the chromosomes have colored bands that represent genes. Okay, and this color bands, we have same color bands for this. In this case, a red band represents a different variety of a certain trait. And if we follow the law of segregation, this allele of gene will separate and will be carried out by a gamete. And so in this case, it was separated and become part of a gamete here. So that is the law of segregation. So the next law is the law of independent assortment. Genes of different traits can segregate independently during the time of the formation of gametes. Here, for example, we will cross pea plants having different traits. That is green seed, yellow seed, a wrinkled shape, and a round shaped seed. And the alleles specifying, for example, the allele specifying for green seed, represented by capital R, is the dominant allele, and the small r is the recessive allele, which will give you a yellow seed color. On the other hand, the capital Y is the dominant allele, which will give you wrinkled shape seed, and the small y is the recessive, which will give you a round shape seed. And when we say dominant trait, it means that it is the trait that is most likely to be exhibited by the organism. So in this case, whenever we have a capital R, we will see that the seed will be green in color, right? While if you only see small r, which are recessive traits, you will see a plant with having yellow seed. So going back to the law of independent assortment, during meiosis or the formation of gametes, the genes or these different alleles will be assorted independently. So we will end up with different combinations of this allele. For example, in this case, you have here, you have small r, capital Y, and small y. So here you have as a yellow because you have a recessive gene, which is the small r, and a wrinkled shape because you have a dominant G or dominant allele, which is the capital Y. Okay. Another example, for example, here you have capital R, both capital R, which means that it will exhibit a green shape color, and then you have a capital Y, which will have a wrinkled shape seed. So you have a green wrinkled shape seed. Okay, so that is the law of independent assortment. There's also the law of dominance and uniformity. Some alleles are dominant while others are recessive. An organism with at least one dominant allele will display the effect of it over a recessive allele. So here we have a dominant allele having a yellow color represented by capital A, and we have a recessive allele, which is the green color represented by small a's. And if we follow the two laws that we just discussed a while ago, these alleles will be separated and assorted. So here it resulted to gametes with one dominant trait and one recessive trait. And if we follow the law of dominance, the dominant allele will display the effect of it over the recessive allele. So that is why the traits of these gametes is that they will display is the yellow color, as you can see here. They have a dominant or the capital A allele. Okay, so that is the law of dominance and uniformity. Lastly, we have the chromosomal theory of inheritance. The chromosomal theory of inheritance was introduced by Theodore Boveri and Walter Sutton. And this identifies the chromosome as the genetic material responsible for Mendelian inheritance. Inheritance pattern may be generally explained assuming that the genes are located in specific sites of the chromosomes.